The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning. It hung in the sky like a dark metal moon, visible even in daylight. People around the world stopped what they were doing and looked up. Some screamed. Some prayed. Some took pictures with their phones. Dr. Taewon Park was in his laboratory when the news broke. His coffee mug slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. No one bothered to clean it up as they all gathered around the television. An unidentified object has entered Earth's orbit, the news anchor said, her voice shaking slightly. Within hours, the aliens made contact. They called themselves the Orcs and requested a meeting with Earth's leaders. The United Nations quickly organized a delegation, and Taewon was surprised to receive a call asking him to join as a scientific advisor. "Why me?" he asked his colleague Minho. "Because you're the leading expert on comparative biology," Minho said. "If we're meeting aliens, we need someone who understands different life forms." The meeting was set for Seoul, as the alien ship had positioned itself over Asia. Taewon found himself sitting in a room with world leaders, military officers, and other top scientists. Colonel Juri Kim, head of South Korea's Special Intelligence Unit, sat beside him. "Are you nervous?" she whispered. Terrified, Taewon admitted. The doors opened, and the aliens entered. Taewon's scientific mind immediately began cataloging details. The Vorix stood nearly 8 feet tall, with blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer. They had 6 limbs, 4 arms and 2 legs, and large eyes that reflected light like a cat's. Their leader introduced himself as Commander Kel. "We have traveled far to reach your world," Kel said through a device that translated his strange clicking language. "We have been observing Earth for some time." President Han Sung-ho stepped forward. "We welcome peaceful visitors to Earth. What brings you to our planet?" Kel's upper limbs moved in a gesture that might have been the equivalent of a shrug. "We are explorers and helpers. We seek out developing worlds and assist them in reaching their potential." Something in the alien's tone made Taewon uncomfortable. He leaned forward. "What kind of assistance do you offer? Your world uses primitive energy sources that damage your environment. Your technology is inefficient. Your resource management is wasteful," Kel said. "We can help manage your planet's resources more effectively." President Han maintained his diplomatic smile. "We appreciate your concern, but Earth manages its own affairs." Kel made a sound that the translator didn't pick up. "You misunderstand. We weren't asking permission." The room grew tense. General Du Young, the highest-ranking military officer present, cleared his throat. "Are you threatening our planet?" "Not at all," Kel replied. "We are simply informing you of what will happen. We will establish research stations in various locations. We will study your resources. We will help manage your world. This is for everyone's benefit." After the meeting, the human delegation gathered in a secure room. "They're planning to colonize us," General Du Young said bluntly. "We don't know that for certain," President Han cautioned. Taewon spoke up. "Did anyone notice how interested they were in our wildlife? They asked more questions about our ecosystems than our technology or governments." Colonel Juri nodded. "I noticed that too. They specifically asked about large predators." Over the next week, Vorex ships landed in remote wilderness areas, the forests of Siberia, the mountains of Canada, the northern reaches of Alaska. They established bases and began what they called resource assessment. Taewon worked day and night analyzing the little information they had about the aliens. One evening, Colonel Juri brought him satellite images of the Vorex bases. "Look at these locations," she said. "What do they have in common?" Taewon studied the map. "They're all in the northern hemisphere, in forested regions, away from large human populations." "And what else?" Juri prompted. Taewon's eyes widened as he realized. "They're all in regions with significant bear populations." Juri nodded. "The Siberian base is in brown bear territory. The Canadian base is where we find the most grizzlies. The Alaska base is near the largest concentration of black bears." "But why bears?" Tae-won wondered. A week later, they got their answer when the Voreks announced their full plan. Earth would be divided into management zones. Humans would be relocated to designated areas. The rest of the planet would be reserved for optimal resource utilization. The world's leaders protested, but their military forces seemed useless against Voreks technology. Earth faced a choice: submit or find another way to fight back. 3 months had passed since the Voreks arrived. Taewon's office walls were covered with maps showing alien landing sites across the northern hemisphere. Red pins marked confirmed bases, while yellow pins indicated suspected locations. The pattern was clear now: every site was in bear country. Another base confirmed in the Ural Mountains, said Daeho, placing a new red pin on the map. A young analyst with tired eyes, Daeho had been working around the clock monitoring alien activity. Taewon rubbed his eyes. That makes 17 bases. All in remote areas with significant bear populations. Colonel Juri entered the room carrying fresh coffee. The UN Security Council meeting was a disaster. No agreement on how to respond. What can we do? Taewon asked. Our missiles bounce off their shields. Our jets can't even get close to their ships. We need to understand why they're here, Juri said. And why they're so interested in bears. The Voreks had been methodical in their approach. After establishing bases, they began sending out research teams. These teams avoided cities and towns, instead focusing on wilderness areas. They collected soil, water, and plant samples. They set up cameras and sensors throughout the forests. But most disturbing was their interest in wildlife. They're capturing animals, Daeho reported, showing them footage from a hidden camera near the Siberian base. Small ones at first: foxes, rabbits, wolverines. But they've started targeting larger predators. The grainy video showed Voreks researchers using strange devices to immobilize a wolf pack. The aliens loaded the unconscious wolves into containers and transported them back to their base. Are they experimenting on them? Juri asked, her voice tight with concern. We don't know, Taewon admitted. But they haven't captured any bears yet, despite their obvious interest. That evening, Taewon received an unexpected visitor at his apartment. Sunmi Kong was a wildlife biologist who specialized in large predators. They had worked together before the invasion. I found something, she said without greeting. The Voreks are installing devices in the forests. She showed him photographs of small metallic objects attached to trees. They emit a low-frequency sound, almost below hearing range. But it affects animal behavior. How? Taewon asked. It drives most animals away, Sunmi explained. But it seems to attract bears. This new information troubled Taewon deeply. The next morning, he shared it with Colonel Juri. They're luring bears to them, he said. But why? Maybe they see bears as a threat? Juri suggested. Or a resource, Taewon said darkly. Their conversation was interrupted when Daeho burst into the room. You need to see this, he said, turning on the large screen that dominated one wall. The screen showed satellite imagery of a Voreks base in northern Canada. Several alien researchers were setting up equipment in a clearing. The timestamp indicated the footage was from the previous day. Just watch, Daeho said. A large grizzly bear wandered into the clearing. The Voreks researchers noticed it but didn't seem alarmed. One approached the bear, holding out a device. They're not afraid, Juri whispered. On screen, the bear suddenly charged. The Voreks fired weapons that emitted blue light, but the bear barely slowed. It slammed into the alien, knocking it to the ground. The bear's massive jaws closed around the Voreks' head. My God, Taewon breathed. The other aliens fired more intensely at the bear, which finally retreated into the woods, leaving one of their team dead. This happened yesterday? Juri asked. Yes, Daeho confirmed. And it's not the only incident. Bears have attacked Voreks teams in Russia and Alaska too. The aliens seemed surprised by the bear's aggression, Sunmi noted. It's like they expected them to be easily controlled. Taewon thought about this. The Voreks said they studied Earth before arriving. Maybe they underestimated our wildlife. Their armor seems effective against our weapons, Juri said. But not against a bear's jaws and claws. That night, Taewon couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the bear attack. The aliens had clearly been surprised by the bear's strength and ferocity. Despite their advanced technology, they weren't prepared for Earth's apex predators. An idea began to form in his mind. If the Voreks were vulnerable to bears, maybe there was a way to use that. He called Juri. I need access to all the footage of bear encounters with the Voreks, he said. And I need Sunmi's help. What are you thinking? Juri asked. I'm thinking we might have found the Voreks' weakness, Taewon replied. And it has fur and claws. As dawn broke, Taewon watched from his window as a Vorek ship passed overhead, heading toward the mountains. The aliens thought humans were weak, easy to conquer. But they hadn't counted on Earth's other defenders who had evolved over millions of years to be perfect killing machines. Researcher next stood at the edge of the Siberian forest, scanning the area with his sensory device. The other Voreks in his team were collecting plant samples and setting up new monitoring equipment. Their mission seemed simple: study the local wildlife, especially the large mammals called bears that dominated this region's food chain. Commander Kell wants comprehensive data on the ursine species, Nex reminded his team. Their biology appears unusually resilient compared to other Earth predators. The Voreks had studied Earth for years before arrival, but always from a distance. Now, with boots on the ground, or rather, all 6 limbs, they were conducting closer research. Their protective suits were designed to withstand any Earth weapon or predator. Life signs detected, said June, the youngest researcher. Large mammal, approaching from the east. Next checked his scanner. Perfect. It's a brown bear, female, and the readings indicate she has offspring nearby. Should we withdraw? Asked another researcher. The briefing mentioned heightened aggression in females with young. Nex made a dismissive gesture with his upper limbs. Our armor can withstand projectile weapons. A simple animal poses no threat. This is an excellent opportunity to collect data on protective behaviors. The team moved forward, their recording devices active. Through the trees, they spotted the bear, a massive brown female standing nearly 8 feet tall on her hind legs. Nearby, 2 cubs played, unaware of the alien's presence. Magnificent specimen, Nex said. June, prepare the sampling device. We need genetic material. June approached slowly, holding out a thin metal rod designed to collect hair and skin cells without harming the subject. The bear noticed the movement and dropped to all fours, watching warily. The creature seems concerned by our presence, June noted. Proceed, Nex ordered. Our data shows these animals avoid confrontation unless directly threatened. June took another step forward. The bear's demeanor changed instantly. Her ears flattened, and she released a roar that echoed through the forest. The cubs scrambled behind her. Perhaps we should, June began. The bear charged. Later, Nex would struggle to describe the speed and power of the attack. The female bear covered 30 meters in seconds. June fired his stun weapon, hitting the bear directly in the chest. The creature barely slowed. Impossible, June said just before the bear slammed into him. The Voreks' protective armor, designed to withstand human weapons, crumpled under the bear's enormous paws. June screamed as claws tore through his suit and into the soft flesh beneath. Help him! Nex shouted, firing his own weapon. 2 more researchers rushed forward, but the bear swatted them aside like they were made of paper. One hit a tree so hard that his suit cracked open. The other landed 20 meters away, his lower limbs crushed. Nex backed away, still firing. The energy weapon was designed to disrupt nervous systems, but the bear's mass and fur seemed to absorb much of the effect. She turned toward him, blood, both red human and blue Voreks, covering her muzzle. Fall back. Return to base. Nex shouted into his communicator. The surviving team members fled through the forest. Behind them, the bear returned to her cubs, shepherding them deeper into the woods. At the base, Commander Kell received Nex's report with disbelief. "You're claiming a simple animal defeated armed researchers in protective suits?" Kell's voice carried a dangerous edge. "The creature's strength exceeded our calculations by at least 300%, Nex explained. "Our armor was useless against its claws and bite force." 3 researchers dead? From one animal? Kell's upper limbs twitched in agitation. Before Nex could respond, the communication system chimed. A report was coming in from the Canadian base. They too had encountered bears, the variety called grizzlies. 2 researchers dead, equipment destroyed. Then another report from Alaska. Black bears had surrounded a research outpost. When the Vorks tried to drive them away, the bears attacked with unexpected coordination, as if working together. "This makes no sense," Kell said. "Our studies indicated these creatures were solitary, avoidable predators." Taewon and Juri received the news of the bear attacks with cautious hope. Their monitoring systems had captured footage of several encounters. "The bears are naturally defending their territory," Sunmi explained as they watched. "But the frequency of attacks is unusual. Something about the Vorks is triggering aggressive responses." Daeho analyzed a piece of damaged Vorks equipment recovered by a drone. "There's some kind of chemical compound in their suits. It might be affecting the bear's behavior." "Like a trigger?" Taewon asked. "Exactly," Sunmi confirmed. "Bears have an incredible sense of smell. Something about the Vorks sent reads as a threat." Juri leaned forward, watching as a massive grizzly tore through alien equipment on the screen. The Vorks underestimated Earth. They thought their technology made them invincible. "They never encountered anything like our bears," Taewon said. "Species that evolved over millions of years to be perfect predators." That night, reports came in from across the northern hemisphere. Bear attacks on Vorks installations were increasing. The aliens were withdrawing from some areas, consolidating their forces. "This isn't enough to drive them away," Juri cautioned. "But it's a start." Taewon nodded, already forming a plan. "What if we could direct the bears? Guide them toward Vorks installations?" "How?" Sunmi asked. "We study what triggers their aggression toward the Vorks," Taewon explained. "Then we use it. The aliens think humans are their only problem on Earth. They're about to learn that we're not even the most dangerous species on our own planet." "We need more samples," Taewon said, studying the damaged piece of Vorks equipment under a microscope. For 2 weeks, his team had been analyzing materials recovered from sites of bear attacks. Sunmi pointed to a chemical analysis on her tablet. "This compound appears in all the samples. It's not from Earth. Could it be attracting the bears?" Juri asked. She had barely slept in days, coordinating teams that monitored Vorks movements. "Not attracting," Sunmi corrected. "Aggravating. Bears normally avoid conflict unless they feel threatened. This compound triggers their fight response." Daeho burst into the lab, excitement clear on his face. "You need to see this." He connected his tablet to the main screen, showing footage from a hidden camera near a Vorks base in Alaska. The video showed 3 black bears approaching the alien facility. The Vorks had set up defensive measures after previous attacks, energy barriers and weapon emplacements. The bears stopped at the edge of the clearing, seeming to assess the situation. "Watch this," Daeho said. To everyone's surprise, the bears separated, circling around to different sides of the base. When one bear charged the front entrance, drawing fire from the Vorks, the other 2 attacked from behind. "Are they coordinating?" Juri asked in disbelief. "Bears are smarter than most people think," Sunmi explained. "But this level of tactical behavior is unprecedented." Taewon leaned closer to the screen. "The Vorks don't understand what they're dealing with. They see bears as simple animals." The implications were clear. If bears were naturally effective against the Vorks, a coordinated approach could be even more powerful. That evening, Taewon presented his idea to a small group of military and scientific leaders. "We call it Operation Ursa Major," he said. We used the Vorax's own chemical signature against them. You want to control bears? General Du Young asked skeptically. Not control, Sun Mi corrected. Guide. We can synthesize the compound that triggers their defensive response and use it to direct them toward Vorax installations. It's unorthodox, Ju Ri admitted. But conventional warfare against the Vorax isn't working. Over the next week, teams worked around the clock to synthesize the alien compound. Testing showed it could be concentrated and dispersed in specific areas to influence bear movement. We need to be careful, Sun Mi warned. We're not trying to harm the bears. We're working with their natural instincts. The first test of Operation Ursa Major took place near a Vorax research station in the Rocky Mountains. Wildlife experts carefully tracked a group of grizzlies in the area. Using drones, they deployed small amounts of the synthetic compound along a path leading toward the alien facility. From their command center, Taewon and Ju Ri watched satellite feeds of the operation. Bears approaching from the south, Daeho reported. 3 adults, following the chemical trail. Vorax activity at the base? Ju Ri asked. Normal operations. They haven't detected the bears yet. The bears moved with purpose, following the invisible trail. When they reached the edge of the Vorax compound, they paused, their powerful noses testing the air. Now for the catalyst, Taewon said. A drone released a concentrated burst of the compound directly over the Vorax facility. The effect was immediate. The bears charged, moving with surprising speed for such large animals. The Vorax were caught unprepared. Their defensive weapons activated, but too late. The bears tore through equipment and sent the aliens scrambling for safety. It's working, Ju Ri whispered. Within hours, similar operations were launched at Vorax installations across North America and Russia. Reports came in of bears breaching alien defenses with remarkable effectiveness. The Vorax are retreating from 3 major bases, Daeho announced, updating the situation map. The aliens responded by increasing their defenses, but they faced a problem they hadn't anticipated. Earth's wilderness was full of bears. Brown bears, black bears, grizzlies, each species powerful in its own right, and all triggered to aggression by the Vorax's very presence. Commander Kell demanded explanations from his science team. How are these primitive creatures coordinating attacks across continents? We believe the humans are guiding them somehow, replied the lead scientist. Using our own biochemical signatures against us. Impossible, Kell dismissed. These humans barely understand space travel. They can't possibly manipulate wildlife with such precision. But the evidence was becoming harder to ignore as more Vorax outposts fell to bear attacks. Back at the human command center, Taewon allowed himself a small smile as another red pin was removed from the map. The Vorax thought they were dealing with one species, he said. They never understood that humans and Earth's wildlife are connected. We've lived alongside these animals for thousands of years. We respect their power. And now, Ju Ri added, the bears are teaching the Vorax the same respect. The operation expanded. Wildlife experts from around the world joined the effort, providing insights on bear behavior and helping to refine the deployment techniques. Bears weren't being forced to fight, they were defending their territory against a threat, just as they had done for millions of years. The Vorax made a critical mistake, Sun Mi explained during a briefing. They chose to establish bases in the most bear-rich environments on Earth, never realizing these would become their greatest vulnerability. The Vorax Emergency Council convened aboard their main ship in Earth orbit. Commander Kell's normally blue-gray skin had paled to an ashen color, reflecting the dire situation they faced. Report, he ordered, his voice tight. 17 major installations destroyed in the past week, the head of operations said. 43 researchers dead. Equipment losses exceeding acceptable parameters. How? Kell demanded. How are simple Earth creatures defeating our advanced technology? The science officer displayed holographic images of bears tearing through Vorax armor and equipment. The ursine species possess physical strength we severely underestimated. Their claws can penetrate our standard armor. Their bite force exceeds our protective capabilities. And the humans are directing them somehow, added another officer. Using our own biochemical signatures against us. Impossible, Kel said, but his tone lacked conviction. The evidence was overwhelming. On Earth, Taewon and his team monitored the operation from their command center. The wall displayed a global map showing Vortex installations in red. As they watched, another red marker disappeared. Siberian outpost neutralized, reported Daeho. Bears breached their perimeter at 3 points simultaneously. And the bears? Sunmi asked anxiously. She insisted on tracking the welfare of every animal involved in the operation. All appear unharmed. They've returned to the forest. Colonel Juri studied the map. The Vortex are consolidating their forces, abandoning smaller outposts to strengthen the remaining bases. They're adapting, Taewon noted. We need to intensify our efforts before they develop effective countermeasures. Operation Ursa Major entered its final phase. Teams around the world coordinated their actions, using the synthesized compound to guide bears toward the remaining Vortex strongholds. Wildlife experts ensured the bears remained safe, providing escape routes after each engagement. In northern Canada, a group of grizzlies overwhelmed the defenses of a major Vortex research facility. In Russia, brown bears breached the perimeter of the main Siberian base. In Alaska, black bears swarmed a Vortex communications center. The aliens fought back with increasingly desperate measures. They deployed sonic weapons designed to repel the bears, but Earth's apex predators pushed through the pain, driven by the instinct to protect their territory from these strange intruders. Aboard the main Vortex ship, Commander Kel received the final reports with growing alarm. Our ground forces are requesting emergency evacuation, his second-in-command said. They cannot hold against the native predators. Kel stared at the holographic display of Earth. This simple planet, which they had dismissed as primitive, had mounted an unexpected defense using its own wildlife. The humans, he said softly. We underestimated them. Sir? We thought their technological inferiority made them weak. But they understood something we didn't. They know how to work with their world, not just control it. Kel made his decision. Order all forces to return to the ships. We're leaving orbit. On Earth, the command center erupted in cheers as they tracked the Vortex retreat. Escape pods launched from the ground bases, racing toward the mothership in orbit. They're actually leaving, Juri said, amazement in her voice. The bears did what our military couldn't, General Duyung acknowledged. Taewon watched the monitors as the great Vortex ship began to move away from Earth. Their monitoring systems intercepted a final transmission from the aliens to their homeworld. Planet unsuitable for colonization, Daeho translated. Indigenous apex predators exceptionally dangerous and resistant to our technology. Humans have demonstrated unexpected ability to coordinate with local fauna for defense. Recommend permanent quarantine of Sol system. The Vortex ship accelerated and disappeared into the darkness of space. In the following months, the world celebrated its unlikely saviors. Bear conservation efforts received unprecedented funding and support. Protected wilderness areas expanded across the northern hemisphere. 6 months after the Vortex departure, a new international bear conservation headquarters opened in Seoul. Taewon, now its scientific director, stood with Juri and Sunmi on the observation deck, watching as the first residents moved into the adjacent sanctuary. They saved us all, Sunmi said, watching a brown bear and her cubs explore their new home. And taught us an important lesson, Taewon added. True strength isn't always about technology or weapons. Sometimes it's about understanding and working with the natural world. In the center of the headquarters plaza stood a massive bronze statue, a bear rearing on its hind legs, protecting a small globe held gently in its paws. The plaque at its base read, "To Earth's Guardians, the bears who defended us all." During the unveiling ceremony, President Han spoke to the assembled crowd. The Vortex came looking for resources to exploit. They saw our planet as something to be conquered and controlled. But they failed to understand that Earth's true strength lies in the bond between all its inhabitants, humans and animals alike. As evening fell, Taewon watched the bears in their sanctuary. One massive grizzly stood at the edge of a cliff, looking up at the stars as if keeping watch for any returning threats. "Do you think they'll come back?" Juri asked, following his gaze to the night sky. "I doubt it," Taewon replied with a smile. "They know better now. Earth isn't just our planet. It belongs to the bears too."